SCP-4034. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. Access to the historical Bohemian Chancellery has been restricted under the guise of UNESCO World Heritage Regulation. Should any unauthorized personnel witness an SCP-4034 event, they are to be administered an appropriate amnestic dose and then released. 5 security personnel are to be permanently stationed on the premises to apprehend SCP-4034-1 instances during Shatter Events. All such instances are then to be transported to nearby Site-26 for permanent containment in standard humanoid cells. Staff are to be placed on high alert during centennial anniversaries of notable political executions. Description: SCP-4034 is the third-floor window of the building which housed the Bohemian Chancellery in the 17th century. Its construction is typical for European windows of the period, with a thicker lower portion due to imprecise glass blowing during its creation. The phrase, "Let the martyrs of Huss fly free," is carved into the glass in contemporary German, though the small size of the inscription and its placement near the top corner of the frame makes it difficult to discover without close inspection. On an irregular basis, SCP-4034 will undergo a Shatter Event, where one or more human figures, termed SCP-4034-1, will be ejected through the window, despite not existing in local space prior to the event. The instances will then fall to the ground and land dirtied but unharmed on an anomalously ever-present pile of horse feces, termed SCP-4034-2. Attempts to remove SCP-4034-2 have only resulted in the pile's regrowth via what appears to be molecular replication, and attempts to do so have been halted after various failures. SCP-4034 will anomalously self-repair within 24 hours of the event. At the time of their egress, SCP-4034-1 instances all possess fatal wounds or other bodily conditions inimical to survival. Despite this, the instances continue to survive in Foundation custody until dying of other causes at an average of 85 years of age. All SCP-4034-1 instances appear to be individuals killed or executed by a state for an act of protest or rebellion exactly 100 years prior to the associated Shatter Events. It is unknown if the instances are copies or temporally displaced originals, though the hitherto inability to identify remains associated with the original instances supports the latter theory. SCP-4034 was originally discovered in 1873 by the Foundation precursor organization based in the German Empire, the Kaiserliches Deutsches Prüfamt für Paranormale Angelegenheiten, KDPPA. Following their incorporation into the Foundation in 1900, it entered Foundation custody. It is unknown if the phenomenon began in 1873, or if previous Shatter events occurred but were undocumented. Addendum: SCP-4034-1. Logs recorded before 1900 were originally recovered from the KDPPA, who originally maintained the security and secrecy of SCP-4034. Date of Event: December 16, 1873. Objects recovered: 4 men wearing wet English sailor apparel, 44.13 liters of seawater, and 14 crates of tea. Responses: medical examination of the men noted that their respiratory system had ceased functioning due to an inundation of water. When confronted about this, the men claimed to not have any trouble breathing. When questioned about events that took place before the Shatter event, all men recalled being confronted by a mermaid. The men were detained in a nearby KDPPA holding cell and have yet to expire. The tea crates were stored at the same location for later analysis. When this location was turned over to the modern Foundation, all crates had been opened and emptied of their contents. Date of Event: October 16, 1893. Objects recovered: 14 heads of unidentified individuals, and 3 loaves of buttered brioche bread. Response: all but one of recovered heads could not adequately answer questions in interviews due to mental trauma from having lost the rest of their bodies. The remaining heads spoke French and recalled that a woman had taken the basket the heads had been stored in and tossed them out of a window. The heads are stored together in a single containment chamber. The buttered bread is stored separately at the same site, despite analysis indicating that the loaves have no anomalous properties. Date of event: January 6, 2018. Objects recovered: 3 individuals of Russian descent suffering from malnutrition, and 156 paper pamphlets splattered with blood. Response: the individuals claimed to have been saved by an angel, and demanded to be returned to Russia, mentioning a need to exact revenge. Analysis of the pamphlets determined that they were anomalous copies of the Junius pamphlet by Rosa Luxemburg. The individuals remain detained in standard humanoid containment cells. The pamphlets are stored at the same site, despite requests from the detainees that they be kept as far away as possible. Date of event: November 22nd, 2063. Objects recovered: 17 copies of John F. Kennedy with identical bullet wounds. Response: all Kennedys expressed panic after noticing each other. However, they gained composure after one said, "Well, if it's all us, we're gonna be fine. She said we'd be fine. Us, Bob, the country. That's what she told you too, right?" In interviews, all Kennedys refused to elaborate on their experience after being shot. The copies are currently being held in standard humanoid containment cells at Site-72, due to the site's experience with containing clones. O5 access only. Date of event: December 10th, 2022. Objects recovered: the first O54. No cause of death was apparent, and their body seems to be in perfect health. Response: subject was unconscious upon egress, and awoke 4 hours later in Site-26. After initial belief that it had been kidnapped by a hostile group, the subject was able to deduce the Foundation's identity and that a temporal shift had taken place. Subject has since been able to provide copious amounts of information corroborating their identity, including the identities of the original council, security call signs from 1922, and Level 5 restricted information at the time. Remote interviews with O51 and O52 have also produced no information or personality quirks inconsistent with the original O54. As O54 was believed to have served on the council until the disappearance and presumed death in 1977, the identity or authenticity of the individual holding the office in the intervening 55 years is unknown. However, when asked for comments about this individual, O54 responded, "Someone has assured me that my replacement was for the best."